Hey guys, I want to make a short video because a topic's been on my mind, and literally just now I was playing a playlist of reggae, and as I did, randomly a Puff Daddy song came on, I'll Be Missing You, and it's related to the topic that I've been thinking about. And some of you who have followed us for a long time will remember one of my closest friends in life, literally, a person who helped me with my daily life in Tanzania. Washing clothes by hand and things whilst you've got so much to do was never possible for me. And the floors are muddy, they're not paved, so you need someone to help. Everything gets dirty constantly. And there was a lady called Wanyama, affectionately known as, but Esther was her name. And nearly a year ago today, it was December last year, she was murdered. And after she was murdered, he choked her. The day after Esther was murdered, that song came on as I walked into a cafe in town after having my procedure done with my blood. And I was very faint, and I said, let me get something to eat. And we weren't planning to do that, and then I went in. That song was playing, and I'd heard from her the night before as well that she was okay, and then that was a nice confirmation as well. So Esther was murdered by her husband, and her unborn baby went with her, sadly. So anyway, this all occurred because a man who we had provided protection for her from killed her. So Feather's Tail literally provided somewhere of safety to the degree it was life and death. And it was a very clear instance there. Just before I came away from Feather's Tail, there was a child ran to our office. I was at the office for 2 days before I got too sick. And a child with Down syndrome ran to our office. She had first run to a church, and the church had sent her away because she was saying that her grandfather had raped her. And the church had said, this is not our business. Because they weren't sure how to deal with her because she's Down syndrome. They didn't know if it was lies, they just didn't know what to do. So she ran to us, and she lives at Feather's Tail, and we always try to keep children with parents and guardians. In that instance, for example, we had done successfully for some time, and sadly, she was, as she formed to be a young woman, she was raped. By a grandfather, which is extra damaging, I'm sure, for her. So. But as she ran the next day, I kept thinking, where would she have ran to if we weren't there? And if God doesn't have these little safe havens around the world sometimes, I think society should have them. We need to make sure that it's clear that society needs these places. They have to be there. Because there are some people who truly need to run to find help. Esther was one, and the young lady who was raped was one. And that's what Feather's Tail does. It's a very serious thing that it provides. It's not just a place where children get a better life to the alternative they had. It's a place where children don't just get a better life than the alternative. It's a place where they get a life, or hell is the alternative. If you can imagine a poor family living up in the mountains, there's no wheelchair access, they can only leave the child laying around. Same environment day in, day out. Often alone. It's hell. It is hell. So, what I want to say to you all, to try and understand what I'm trying to say, Feather's Tail, Angel's Gate, ShareTanzania's, Animal Rescue. When I was a child, I used to love reading. And the reason I loved it, and my cartoons as well, for the same reason, and my cuddling toys as well, for the same reason, was I could create safe spaces inside myself. And even in recent months, where in August, where I was dying ultimately, and I nearly died in August, as you know, with E. coli in my bloodstream, and the pain every day was horrific, and I was scared. Thought I was going to die every day. Just imagine you got lethal bacteria in your bloodstream for weeks and nobody knows, you know, combined with everything else I've got going on. And I was terrified. During that time, I wrote a children's book. And there's an illustrator working on it now, and it'll be launched at the new year. But the reason I wrote it is because I wanted to hide, and I felt it, and I understood it clearly. I needed to hide from my circumstance because it was horrid what was happening to me. And for some children out there, that's the same feeling they get. Now, in Europe, many children face trouble too, all over the world. But I always wonder how different it would be if I'd been a child who couldn't access books or cartoons or cuddling toys, and I only had imagination and information fed to me from people who were uneducated. And the children, they don't create their own world like that unless they get those things. And if you remember as a child those places, maybe it was 100 Acre Wood with Winnie the Pooh, or Farthing Wood was another one when I was a child. Things like this, I took great peace in them because I felt it's a place I'd like to be, and it's safe. There's no bad stuff going to happen to me there, unlike the world. And I think there's a reason books like that are needed, and stories like that are needed, to show that we should have a world like that. There shouldn't be war, there shouldn't be murder and rape and drug addiction and people underserved as it is, but we're working towards something better. And those books give our children an idea that that better can come, even if it's not today. And if you've ever had that, where you've read a book and you've hidden those places, just take that feeling and know that that's the same feeling I see wash over children who get to live at Feathersdale, having failed all other avenues, because we always try to get children to stay in the community at large with guardians, but it can't work always, as I've evidenced in 2 stories. Feathersdale is physically like those children's books. It's a place of great safety in the world where, hello, it's okay, come on then, where it's a place of great safety in the world, especially in a world where our little ones are exposed to so many things that are terrifying and shouldn't be. And a lot of it's down to, a lot of it's down to our fault. He's never seen anything with a scary character, ever. He's never seen a movie, a book, anything with a scary character. And he won't, because there's no scary characters in his daily life. So why would I put him through it? And in this world where we are, in Europe, you're talking about protecting often the psychology of your child. You're not talking about protecting them from hunger and sickness sickness that's easily treated here with antibiotics or something of this nature is not so easily treated. Aslan, I'll be with you in one moment, okay? One moment. It's not so easily treated in places out there, including the hunger, etc., including just the fact that you've got a safe room where you can close the door and be by yourself and know nobody's coming in. And that's what Feathersdale is. And the best way I can akin the feeling is when you were a child and if you had a childhood like me and there was nothing massively traumatic happening, you know, I know some people face trauma in the West, and I'm sorry for that. But for me in childhood, the place that I created places to hide were in my imagination from books. And that feeling is exactly the feeling behind Feathersdale. It's exactly the feeling behind why I want to write children's books as well. I have a want. I don't want children to be scared. I just don't want it. Because as an adult, I've been scared. I nearly killed myself over a decade ago. I was scared. 16 years ago now. Decade and a half, more than a decade and a half. But I did it because I was scared. And I don't want anyone to feel that, especially children. So Feather's Tale is a very serious business. Because we need to keep little ones like this with eyes full of innocence, like my son's here. So, there's no bigger crime when you see it's not there, believe me. So, anyway, thank you for making Feather's Tale what it is. It is time for bye-bye. Well done. And thank you for all the love, support, and thank you for listening to me. I love you all.